So I think if we can give it maybe like 1 or 2 minutes to have people join, and then I'll go ahead and welcome everybody. Awesome. I love that Martha added her college so we know where she's from. All right. Welcome, everybody. This is Celebrating National Transfer Week, and we're excited for you to join this session. We are going to be talking about an entrepreneurial mindset benefiting transfer students, hosted by the Orin and Edson Entrepreneurship and Innovation Institute at ASU, supporting students at any stage in their entrepreneurial journey. We're hoping that you as participants will gain an understanding of how this mindset is relevant to the student's goals and career, and hear about unique opportunities that we get to host for students of any major at ASU, including free resources that are available on demand. So I'm excited to turn it over to Lauren, and the platform is yours.
Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. I am thrilled to be here today as part of what is called the J. Orin Edson Entrepreneurship and Innovation Institute here at Arizona State University. We know it's quite the mouthful, so more commonly we refer to it as Edson, E&I. And you may have heard that ASU and Arizona State University really values this idea of what it means to be innovative. And as part of that, we really care a lot about the entrepreneurial journey and experiences of our community. So whether it's our students, whether it's the broader community, making sure they have access and opportunities to bring ideas to life that they might want to explore at any point in their kind of experience. And so I'll share a little bit more about some of the ways that we do this work. But before getting into it, I know entrepreneurship is a really big word, and we like to make it even more complicated sometimes by calling it this idea of an entrepreneurial mindset. And so why I think this is important is sometimes students or members of our community very clearly identify as saying, yes, I know somebody that started their business or that has a project that they're creating that's making an impact in what they're doing. But a lot of times people are like, well, maybe I'm not super familiar with how you actually do that. So maybe I know someone, maybe I do it part-time, but I don't necessarily think of it as entrepreneurship. And so when we talk about it in this way, it's really this idea of a way of thinking or a life approach that can be valuable for any major at any point and stage of life. And so at ASU, we believe that entrepreneurship is not just part of the business school or part of the engineering school, that it's really part of the whole of the university and something that is really a framework of how we think about things. And so we encourage our students to have opportunities to really develop this mindset. And before I go into saying like next slide, we'll kind of move forward. I know entrepreneurship is a really big word. I know enough, and I've worked in this space to know it's like a really old French word, and it's not necessarily something we always say in our everyday life. Some of you may have seen shows like Shark Tank or other examples of what it means to be an entrepreneur in a very traditional, I have this huge idea, I need a lot of resources, how do I make it happen? But it can be as a mindset, a very big or very small way of approaching problems, of identifying opportunities and being really like intentional about the resources you need, that if you do have an idea or something you want to see change, you identify sustainable ways to make that happen. And that might be through creating a business or really thinking about what that can be for your career. But it might be more broad of just saying, I want to be entrepreneurial in anything I do, and really thinking about this idea of I want to try new things. I want to have space for failure, hopefully failure that feels pretty safe, but allows me to learn along the way. And I also want to be really resourceful and adaptable in whatever it is that's going on. And so while we think of entrepreneurship, and we certainly support those that are creating their own business or have kind of a side hustle or whatever that might be, we also think about this idea of really a perspective and a resourcefulness that can be helpful in whatever we do, that can result in those actions, but can also be valuable on any path that we might go forward with. And so that idea of a mindset is really important to us because we know students have navigated so many things to get to this point and to be at a university. And especially thinking of the transfer experience, you come in with a lot of knowledge and a lot of experience already. So how do we continue to provide resources and opportunities to develop a path that is meaningful to you, that can be a way to engage beyond just whatever your major ends up being. And some people come in with ideas or with already formed businesses, nonprofits, whatever that is. How do we still have space and opportunity to support those goals as well as it relates to all of this? So if you're with me still, you're like, okay, mindset, that makes sense. Like, it's not necessarily a word I use every day, but like being entrepreneurial seems like a value to me, then great. We're going to actually shift to a little bit of an activity. I will explain it here, but we're really thinking about this idea of goal setting from that perspective of having an entrepreneurial mindset. So again, really being curious, being open to making connections around concepts and creating value for others by doing something in a new or different way. That's kind of how we're viewing this idea of being entrepreneurial. And so for a few minutes of our time together, I'm actually going to ask for you all to do a bit of reflection on your own, because we know entrepreneurial thinking can feel really big. So having an opportunity and space and time together to work through what it means to identify a problem and really try to approach it is helpful. And before moving forward on like, this is my big plan or this is my future idea, I actually want to encourage that we take a second to think about things that have already happened in our lives, and looking at what might be possible along the way. And so there are 3 questions that I have, and I encourage you to write down, whether it's typing, whether it's note taking, your responses to each. If it feels like you answered them really quickly, I encourage you to take more time. And I am going to set a timer. I'm not sure you'll be able to hear the noise that goes with this. It's a nice mix of like fall music, but it's really here just to help set the tone of how much time we want to take during the reflection, working through these 3 questions. So what problems have you encountered in your day-to-day life? How did you do something new or differently to help identify a way to work around those problems or maybe even solve them? And then what was the value that was added or responded to by responding in a new or different way? So with that introduction, we're just going to go ahead and kind of quietly individually reflect on this. And if anyone has questions, feel free to drop them into the chat or the Q&A. All right, we have about 3 minutes left. I'm going to really briefly stop sharing and see if I can reshare so you can enjoy some of what the background music might be. If not, no worries. We're going to go ahead and give it a try because it's always a little more relaxed. And this is where we use examples of being okay with failure. So right now it's quiet on my end. So I did just share again, but it's also hear this now. Wonderful. Okay, I was enjoying the relaxing calm fall music, so I hope you all can enjoy it. All right, so that was the 5 minutes of time. If anyone would like to share in the chat or Q&A, maybe something that they wrote, feel free to do so. But for this format, we'll go ahead and move forward and move on. I hope you enjoyed the fall kind of background theme as much as I did. I find music is actually a really great way for some people, not for everyone, to be able to really tap into some creativity or reflection in a different way. So that's part of why we wanted to use that timer. Also, it's just finally almost sweater weather in Arizona. So wherever you are, I hope you're enjoying convenient temperatures and this kind of particulars. We're gonna move forward. So with this, the next thing we would typically do for this activity is we would really think about things moving forward, right? So in that activity, we reflected on what we've done previously, maybe times or ways we've identified a problem and worked towards solving it that we weren't even thinking of it in a kind of context of being entrepreneurial. Sometimes it's a very specific thing. It's like, no, I want to make money and I found a way to do that. So I have a friend who's going to college now, and he was like, I'm gonna wash cars, I'm gonna do these things with the goal in mind that I have more resources for myself. And that's great when we're thinking in a really traditional way, but other times it's just like, oh, something happened and I had to work and be resourceful in resolving it on my own, and it might not have been specifically with this outcome or goal of having more resources or earning money with it. Both can be entrepreneurial in whatever you do. So next, we'd really encourage in this activity taking a bit of time to jot down a few things you've maybe like to start, but haven't yet. And yet, I think is an important word that we use in this process because there's so many things we can do. So even by writing it down and listing it now, you're still not making the obligation that you have to do it immediately. These can be personal, maybe professional, educational goals. They can be big, they can be small, easy or challenging. And what's interesting when we do this in a group setting, more in a kind of classroom environment, you'll find that something I might think is really big and challenging, someone else would be like, oh no, that's actually, I can do it. And I can see how you would do it in this way. So in a lot of what we do in encouraging entrepreneurship, it's not doing it independently, even though this is an individual activity right now. So whether it's your phone, paper, whatever makes sense, we really think about kind of framing three things. So what would you like to start? Why haven't you started it yet? And being really honest in the process of saying it's important to have things we want to do or want to achieve, but also understanding sometimes that idea or that hope isn't always what's going to motivate us. So why haven't we done it yet? And then what is a small action that you could take now or later to make this happen? So it might be as simple as saying, I really want to start more consistently exercising in my day. We've had students use this as an example. It could be that I haven't started yet because I maybe feel a little uncomfortable, like I'm not familiar with what the best activity for this would be for myself. And then a small action I could take would be maybe I could more consistently wear gym clothes so that I feel more ready to exercise, or I could commit to taking a walk a certain amount of days a week, or even trying a variety of activities. If it really is me not being comfortable, like I could get started by that. So that's one example of a goal that you might set for yourself, or it could be much more specific to you. So I use kind of a common one that we'll hear a lot. I think New Year's resolutions coming soon. People always say, I want to be more active or doing more of these things, but it can be really specific to who you are. So we would kind of then, after completing this activity, really talk about, okay, if that's something that if you had the time and resources, you would move forward, or if you have an idea you're specifically working on, that question of what can you do now or why haven't you started can sometimes help explore opportunities. So maybe it's, I don't know how to do it, so I need to talk to someone else. I really am not sure where to start. And so working together to think through a plan, all those things can be really helpful along the way. And so that kind of shifts our conversation to this idea of resources we have available for students and the community overall to explore the possibility of their ideas and make plans and actions to actually move those ideas forward. So we did a small portion of an activity that's included in what we call our Just Start guidebook, which is a series of resources that are available to you to map out ideas, to think through the resources you already have, the actions you've already taken, and the opportunities you might have to solve a problem, whether it's big or small in the life of yourself or someone else you know. And so you can actually scan, if you would like to, this guidebook that has these activities and work through them on your phone or in whatever way is most meaningful. And we also have it as an online resource. It's a fillable PDF that you can actually download at the link that's provided. So I'll take a moment to pause here in case anyone wants to make sure to capture this image before we move to the next slide. Cool. And we actually created this in 2020. So when we couldn't have as many conversations as we wanted to, we said, well, how do we support people in developing their ideas without maybe those regular conversations or processes? What's great about this is it's completely free. It's accessible anywhere. If you work with others or have people that in your life that you think might benefit from doing some of these activities, share it with them. We're happy to have it as kind of part of what ASU does to support entrepreneurship. We also have resources for members of our community to connect with current students to learn more about the resources available specifically for entrepreneurship at ASU. And maybe most importantly, to be able to have one-on-one conversations about the ideas they have or the life they want to create or whatever that might be for them about how it means to engage with entrepreneurship. So current students can connect with others to really move their ideas forward, receive coaching and feedback from their peers, because we think there's something special about that one-on-one conversation and the opportunity to hear from other students that are doing similar work. A lot of our students, there's no right time to get involved with entrepreneurship. So if you are looking at a transfer opportunity, you can engage deeply with all of these resources, whether a first year student, a graduate student, somewhere in between. There's no oh, if I didn't do this already, I'm behind reality of it. We hear from students often that are like, oh, I had all these ideas, but I didn't know about this resource, or I wish I had known about this sooner. And so there's no perfect time. And I think most often people wish they had known sooner when there are these opportunities available to them. And then we do have programs that if somebody is working through a specific idea, particularly our ASU students, they can have access to more mentorship, to actual physical spaces where they can go to a place and work together or independently on whatever it is they're doing, and other resources, training, additional opportunities to engage and learn new things outside of the classroom. This program is completely free. We do ask students to apply. The Venture Devils program is really focused on if you have something in particular you are working on, whether it's a nonprofit idea, something you want to create, maybe it's a side business you already have that you want more support for, whatever that is. There's a few applications throughout the year, and we do that intentionally so that whenever people come into our community, they have the option of coming pretty quickly to engage with this program. This is also a key way, because sometimes when you're like, I have an idea, I haven't done it yet, and I haven't done it yet because I don't have money to do it, and it costs money to do, and that can be really hard. The Venture Devils program is one opportunity where you can actually compete and potentially receive some funding to advance your idea. So if that feels like the reason that things are getting in the way, there's always resources, especially for our students, to move those ideas forward. And I will note too, like ASU does a lot in this space, but in general, I think entrepreneurship is something more and more universities value because of the idea that you can have so many different possible futures and careers. And so being entrepreneurial in your approach to that in whatever you do next can be a really helpful skill set and mindset to be able to have your best possible life and feel comfortable with some of the uncertainty that maybe exists that didn't exist 50 years ago when people would often stay in one company, one space, whatever that looks like. This is a video. I'm gonna skip it for now, just because I know it can play back a little bit funny. But I will say, if you want to hear more directly from current students or recent graduates who have engaged with entrepreneurship about why ASU is a great place and really has a variety of ways to support your ideas, I'd absolutely encourage taking a few minutes to find this on ASU's YouTube channel. We really encourage everyone to think of themselves as an entrepreneur, especially when it comes to that mindset, because we've all solved problems and had those experiences in our day to day. So we're going to move forward. And there are other community events where people are regularly engaging, sharing their ideas, receiving feedback. I wanted to note this particular event because it is virtual and in person, and it happens twice a month, and it is an option for people even before they're here at ASU. So if you're considering eventually coming to ASU, you're really excited about this idea of entrepreneurship, but you're like, I'm not there yet, or I'm working with students or others who are wanting to take advantage of these opportunities. I either want to listen to what people are creating and consider it, or I want to share share what I want to do myself, Pitch-In is a great resource for this. So you can share your ideas and receive feedback, or you can be part of a community that hears from others about the ideas they're moving forward and gives them suggestions of how to make it happen. And sometimes we're like, well, I don't know if I'm the person to be able to do that. And so I really just encourage you to consider these opportunities and see what might be available along the way and see how it feels to engage in some of those things. And we do have a newsletter. So if anyone is like, I'm coming soon to ASU, or I want to hear more about what's going on, what students are doing in this space, you can feel free to sign up for this spotlight and then get more information on a monthly basis of what's happening around ASU and entrepreneurship. This idea, again, really emphasizing the idea that it is a mindset. So the more we hear stories of what other people are doing, the more I think we can see ourselves in this process too. And so absolutely encourage, again, QR codes are always helpful. If you'd like to find out more, feel free to sign up for this here to hear from us. But our website is entrepreneurship.asu.edu. We're really excited about the time today and just the conversation about the transfer pathways and how students can join our ASU community. So many people navigate so many things, and navigating college is so important, including these extra opportunities to really get involved and get the most out of the resources available at your university. So I appreciate the time today. I hope the activity was fun and a good way to start your morning or whatever time it is, wherever you are. But unless anyone has questions, I'll just say thank you so much for the time we had together.
Laura, can I ask you something?
Yeah, absolutely. Please do.
So you mentioned that you have the Pitch-In events are in a hybrid format. I want to go back to the Venture Devils that you mentioned, that there's mentoring and physical spaces. Is there also virtual mentoring, or is there any sort of virtual space that online students or students that the ASU at locations might be able to participate in?
Yeah, thank you so much for that question. Yes, is my quick answer. So for the Venture Devils program, it's something that people can engage in completely, whether they're physically at an ASU campus or at the ASU online campus. And so even if you are not going to be nearby a campus location, we still have resources available for everyone. And this has been true for years now, where they can fully participate in the Venture Devils program. And so what's great about this is you can have your mentorship conversations by video, by phone, by wherever makes sense for you. And those relationships, sometimes that's even more convenient for people, even if they are local to Phoenix, right? Like let me just jump on and have this conversation. So our mentors are very used to that. Some of our mentors are even living in other states because they have such great expertise. We wanted to bring them in. And a lot of the workshops are also kind of offered in an online or hybrid format. So you don't have to be physically at a space. We think there can be real value of coming into the campus and networking with each other, but we also understand that the access can be so helpful just around the content. So most all of those are also available in a hybrid or online format. And I will share too, with the Venture Devils program, the application itself is online completely. And what's great is you can even participate in the pitch competitions and other experiences completely remotely. So you don't have to be, because we leverage video and phones and all these things, you don't have to be physically somewhere to be included as an ASU student in that journey. And that's something that we think is really kind of important. So consistently offering opportunities that meet all our students wherever they are is of value. So thank you for asking that question. I should have made that even more clear.
Well, that's great. Awesome. Well, if anyone from our audience has questions, we're happy to hang out for another couple of minutes. Thank you so much for going over all the things that the students could get involved with right away outside of the class in terms of experiential learning and support for ideas that they come into the university having or refine while they're here. And so we're excited to welcome new students into the fold.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think I have the best job because I get to talk to people about the ideas they have and the ways they want to make the world better, which is not a bad day.
No, not at all. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time today. I don't see any questions coming up in the chat. So We
Okay,
can
perfect.
say
Thanks so much. Have a great day, everyone.
awesome. Thank you.